Hello, Fab Junkie here. Today we're going to do part one of the mechanical work on the war machine. That is going to include the fuel injectors for the 7.3 Powerstroke. We're going to cover that today, go over all the other stuff that I've got to do to this thing. I'm going to break it into two parts just because I don't want it to be a really long video. So let's get going. Do now. We're going to jump over. I want to do all the motor work on it while the cab's off of it because I can stand right next to the motor and work on it. I'm gonna bring in one of my good friends, runs a diesel shop locally. He's the baddest diesel guy around. He's gonna come in. We're gonna put these injectors and stuff in. So here we go. So what I'm gonna do? Actually, I said my buddy Radar was gonna come over. He stopped by the other day. He is so covered up right now. He didn't really have time to just come and be here through the whole process, so I could video it. So what he did is he came through and he walked me through how to change injectors on this side. I've already put the new injectors in it, but I'm going to video doing the other side, and all the other stuff that we're doing is actually a lot simpler process than I really thought it was going to be, which is good. So nonetheless, we're going to put single shot injectors in it, putting new plugs in the high pressure oil rail. Going to put a new plug and O-ring in the end of the oil rail here. Got to put a new O-ring on this plug that goes in here. I bought these new turbo tubes to go on it because he said that I would need them. Turns out the truck already had them, so I don't need them. What do we got? We're going to put new glow plugs in. Going to put new wiring kits on each head for the injectors. I think there's something else. I don't remember what it is right offhand, but if I get to something new that I haven't talked about on here, I will pause it for like a hot second, tell you what we're doing, and then we'll go from there. Well, there you go. There's the inside of a head of a 7.3 Ford. So, as you can see, these are all the tops of our injectors. Now, they have an R on them. I don't know if you can see that. There it is right there. So, these are actually remans. So, somebody swapped them out before. I don't know when. I don't know any of that. And when I bought the truck, I was told that it needed injectors. So, injectors she will get. I did go ahead and get some upgraded injectors because, well, I mean, it's, pretty much the same price. So you're not going to not go ahead and put a little horsepower to it. So now next are these little dudes right here. You see this wiring kit that comes along here. I went ahead and bought new wiring kits for both heads. Apparently these connectors and these little guys right here, that's what holds them to that valve cover gasket. They get old and brittle and snap, and this connector right here, that guy, they get old and brittle and snap, and I'm not really in the business of half-assing stuff. I got too much time and money invested in all this, so I think these wire kits were like $30 a piece or something like that, so I went ahead and I got new ones. So next up is we're going to remove these wires right here. Then, I don't know if you can see right there, you got this guy, got that little strap right there on it. I'm going to take those off of each cylinder there. And then down in here, I got an 8mm there, and I've got an 8mm that's underneath there, an 8mm bolt head. I'll take the bottom one out, take this top one loose, and then I should be able to pull the injector up out of the hole. Before I do that, though, there will be, see this guy right here, that's a plug, and then that right there, that's a plug. Now those, you got your high pressure oil that runs through up here. And before we pull the injectors out, I'm gonna pull those plugs out. That way they can go on and start running oil down, because then it'll run down into this valley and run back down into the oil pan. So I'll let them drip and drain for a little while, because if you don't do that, then when you pull the injectors, all that oil will run down into your cylinders and hydrolock your motor. And that's causes a whole lot of bad stuff to happen. Then we'll also go ahead, we'll pull this seal out. Once it gets all the way drained, we'll pull this guy out, and then I'll pull this guy out right here. That way it can drain fuel out of it. I got a bucket right there under the truck. I'll let all that run down out of there. Then we'll pull these fuel injectors out. So I'm gonna see if I can get you a little better camera angle and we'll get going. So right there is our wiring kit. Forgot the glow plugs also plug into that too. We're gonna replace the glow plugs as well. You know what? I think you forgot to order those. So I'll have to order those. They'll probably come in a couple days. So on these plugs, when we took apart the other side, he told me that they are notorious for stripping out, and they are extremely soft. And the ones on the other side, it's got a little Allen head in it, and of course it's filled full of oil too. And it's really soft metal anyhow. It's got a little O-ring boss on it that seals it up when you tighten it. One of them came loose with the Allen head, the other one stripped out. So we just had to hammer a Torx bit into it actually to get it out on the other side. I've got 4 new plugs to go in for both sides. So see where somebody's already been chewing on a little bit. So I'm guessing whoever did these injectors already had the same problem with them. So maybe they'll come out a little easier for me. I don't know. We're about to find out. Also, you have to be very careful when removing these, because if you drop that little scoundrel, odds are good they'll go right down inside your motor, and well, as you could imagine, that would be no fun at all. So let me get a pair of pliers and get this dude off. Yeah, it's coming on out of this back one pretty good, and it'll run down for a good while too. Just let it, like I said, just let it run down into your oil pan. I'm gonna let that trickle down. I'm gonna go on and where's that plug? I'm gonna pull this plug right here. Let it start draining. Let it start draining that diesel out of there while the oil drains down back into the oil pan. Those little guys right there. That was a lot easier than the other side was. So while that's draining, I'll go ahead and I'll take these guys off. The oil is drained down. I went ahead. I got all the 8mm bolts that hold the fuel injectors down. I've already taken them out, so I'm going to kind of pick up where I left off from there, and we're going to change these injectors. All right. So, like I said before, took these 4 bolts out. You got a bolt up here at the top. So you got this guy right here. He kind of flips back and forth. You got one on each one of these. So now, as I take each one of these out, there's going to be some oil that will run down in there. So we got to take and wipe that out good. The reason why I already talked about you pull these plugs out first so it doesn't just fill the cylinders full of oil. But a little bit of oil will still leak down in there. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my air hose and I'm going to put my air blower into this port right here, and I'm going to kind of blow some oil through it real slowly just to kind of push out what little bit of oil might still be left in there, because it's less that'll run down into my cylinder. So I'm gonna get my air blower and do that right quick. Best if you've got a blower with a little rubber tip on it, because it kind of seals itself against the hose. I don't have that, so I'm just gonna kind of put this in there best I can and just kind of, lightly. I'm not gonna blow just a huge gush of air through it, but just gonna push some through it. That way it hopefully kind of blows whatever little bit of oil is left in there out. I can see it. There's not much coming out. Yeah, that'd be good. We'll push that up just like that. I gotta get a pry bar there for now. So we're gonna push this up. I'm going to kind of put my pry bar across the top surface of the head here. Push that up and then pry against it. She comes right up. There you have it. See if I can show you here what this looked like. All right, so that's what it looks like down in there. You see there's a little bit of oil running down in there. Not too much, but there is some running down in there. So I'm gonna wipe that and clean that out now. Rammer jammer down in there. I don't know if there is any professional way of doing this. This is how he showed me to do it, and it's what he does for a living, so I'm not gonna question it. He wouldn't question me about body work, so I'm not gonna question him about diesel service or I don't know, whatever you would want to call this. Certainly not a professional. I use these rags right here. He said they're pretty good because they don't really put off a lot of lint. You gotta be careful. These, I guess that's a rocker arm. I guess that's what that is. I don't know. I don't work on a lot of diesels. Honestly, this is the first one I've ever had apart, mine or somebody else's. So, but you gotta watch out. Them dudes are sharp. It still looks like there's some crap down in there. Let's see if I can get it out here. If I can kind of twist this guy down in here a little bit. I'll stick this in there so it'll kind of spin it. Ooh, yeah, that's working. I don't know if you hear that. Squeaky clean. Hey, that worked really, really good. All right, get my trusty fuel injector here. Hopefully I don't break the damn thing. All right. There's that. I forget what these are called. I think he said it's a single shot or a split shot. I don't know, something like that. It's supposed to be like a stage 1 type of deal here. Get this little cap on the end. Take that guy off. O-ring, O-ring, O-ring. Got to put grease on all 3 of those. So I'm going to walk over here and put some grease on them right quick. All right. So, as you can see, got them all greased up. Nothing too fancy. Just stuck it on there. So now, put this guy up on here. You have to push this little bracket up and over the bolt head of that 8mm bolt that you left in there from before. So, get this guy going here. All right, and that's set down over top of it. So now I'll just push him in. That actually went down pretty good. Now, I'm gonna take a soft face dead blow. Mind you, he told me to do this. I didn't decide to do this on my own. This isn't my brain fart. But you hit it a couple times and you'll hear it, it'll kind of make a clang sound. You'll hear that metal on metal when it's really down in there good and solid. It kind of hurt a little bit of it then, but I always give it just another tap or two just to make sure it's in good. Oh yeah, she's in there. So that one's good. So next up will be to put that 8mm bolt in right there. Get this guy right here. Right in there. So I'm just going to go on and just kind of start it. For right now, I'm going to go through and I'll tighten them all at the same time. But it's got like a beveled head on it there, so it just kind of centers itself as it goes down. I guess it just kind of torques it down in there, I reckon. Alright, so there you have it. All 4 of these injectors are done. Already did the 4 on the other side. Next up for me is going to be to change I got to change all 8 glow plugs. I've got the turbo off. I got it in the car. I'm going to take it over to my buddy's shop. We're going to put a new wheel on the inside of it. I don't know, something to do with the bolts or something that he says we need to change out. So he's supposed to have that there. We're going to change the bolts out, change the wheel on the turbo. I'm going to pick up the glow plugs, and then we'll come back and install glow plugs and wire kits. And this is the big plug on the oil rail. I've got new ones of these for each side, which have new O-rings. This is the plug for the fuel side. I've got to put a new O-ring on there. I'm gonna wrap that up. We'll be able to put the turbo back on and the downpipes and put the exhaust on. And honestly, I think that wraps up the mechanical side of this thing. Like I said, I'm not really doing anything crazy with it. Just just giving it a little bit more pep. I did get a programmer for it. It's in the floor over there somewhere. So we'll see how it all comes out. All right, there you go. So that's a wrap on part 1. I don't normally like to do a part 1 and part 2. But I also like to keep my videos around 15 to 18 minutes long because, well, most people don't watch videos that are longer than that. Even I, tend to, my focus will wander. And I didn't want to make a 30, 35-minute video. So nonetheless, still got several small things to wrap up on this, to get this mechanical work done on the old war machine here. Come back, let's finish it up, let's keep it pushing forward. As always, hope you liked it. If you did, throw a brother subscribe. If not, just keep coming back and watching. Thanks, everybody. See you in the next one.